Okay, everyone, I'm here with Jim O'Rear. He's a stunt guy, actor, screenwriter, paranormal investigator, of course, YouTuber, author, right? And then you've done makeup effects too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, you had a very eventful life, and I've been wanting to interview you for a long time. Fun fact, everyone, I actually got this man's autograph. I've known about him since at least 1999. I got his autograph back in '99. I don't have it with me, but with the magic of video editing, I'm going to add it right here, and you'll see a very definite thing. Of course, I asked him earlier if he still has that cool cowboy hat, and he thinks he does. Awesome.
Yeah, it's in a closet somewhere.
But I wanted to ask you, let's see, one thing I know you really started being more publicly out there professionally as a magician as a kid, right? Could you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you worked with David Copperfield, and weren't you about, I think, 12 years old when you became part of that magic society? Can you talk about all that?
I can't remember how old I was, but yeah, I was little. I got interested in magic when I was in kindergarten, and it was all because of Disney's Haunted Mansion. My parents took me to Disney when it opened, and I went through the Haunted Mansion and was amazed by it.
Are you from Florida?
I'm not. No, I'm not from Florida. We came for vacation, and outside of the Haunted Mansion, they had a little kiosk, and it had a Mickey Mouse magic set in it. So I got the little Mickey Mouse magic set, and the next day did a show at Show and Tell in school. And from there it kind of took off. I got more interested in magic, and I always had really small hands, and I learned to do a lot of the stuff that the adult magicians were doing at the time. I developed my own way to do stuff with small hands, and that kind of got me noticed, and was one of the youngest members in the Society of American Magicians and all that kind of stuff.
Did having smaller hands, did it make it easier or harder to do magic tricks?
It's harder because you don't have as much room to hide stuff with, but I figured out a way to make it work, and it was recognized, luckily. So I traveled around the world as the youngest professional magician, and Copperfield, Harry Blackstone Jr., a lot of people like that, and just did that for a long time.
Now your background was in musical comedy, correct?
Acting wise, yeah. I didn't want to get into acting, but it was a progression from magic. TV producer came to...
Yeah, it was a commercial, correct, for Hootie or the Woodsy the Owl?
For Woodsy the Owl,
yeah. Can you tell that story? Because I think it's an interesting story.
Yeah, so I didn't want to be an actor or anything like that, but a TV producer who was making, was going to make the Woodsy Owl commercials, and that is dating me because I'm probably half the people watching this won't know what it was, but it was a series of basically recycling commercials that had this owl mascot.
I am old enough to remember, sadly.
And he always had kids around him, and it was some type of recycling or environmental message, and I was one of the little kids. But I didn't want to do it. TV producer saw me after one of the magic shows and said, "Hey, we want you to do this TV commercial." And I said, "No, I don't do that. I don't want to do it." So after a week or two of him talking to my parents and like, come on, and wooing me into it, I said, "Okay, I'll do the stupid TV commercial." And it was the Woodsy Owl commercial, and it just, that got me into the acting world.
How much of that process of filming that commercial do you remember? Like, how long did it take?
Very, very little, very little. I was a stuntman for 30-some years, so I've been hit in the head a lot. And I don't have a lot of those early memories anymore. They're gone. Multiple concussion syndrome.
I'm not surprised. I know a lot of what you do is especially in your later career, was horror. Can you tell us how you kind of got into the horror genre?
Yeah, still, it kind of goes back to the whole kindergarten thing with the Haunted Mansion, being so fascinated with that.
And I know you worked with George Romero.
Yeah, I did George Romero. George Romero's Day of the Dead was the first horror film that I worked in back in the 80s, and I was a zombie in that. And I had liked, I guess I started liking horror. The first horror movie I saw was Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D in the theaters. And between the Haunted Mansion and the Creature, and then the 1968 Night of the Living Dead, I kind of got fascinated in this world of horror entertainment. So I finally, come the 80s, had the chance to work in that with George Romero, and then horror acting just took off from there to where I became known as the king of the bees. lots of low budget horror films, and but I love horror. It's playtime for me.
Like Thong Girl 3, Thong Girl 4.
Yeah. Thong Girl was hilarious.
Now, I've never seen it. What is that series about?
So it's a goofy superhero series, and the first few, I was just like a random stunt guy, criminal that she would beat up, but basically she's a superhero that runs around in a bikini and shoots a laser out of her ass. That's her magic power, and it's the power of the thong. And then when they did Thong Girl versus Zolta, I think it was called, where they sent her into space, that was a series, and in that series I was the main bad guy, the main alien bad guy, and that was a blast. Now,
you said you were in Day of the Dead, one of the zombies. What part were you in? So if people want to see which one you were.
The stuff. Well, you can't pick me out because I'm in a crowd of a bunch of other zombies. But it was all the scenes in Fort Myers where they're walking down the streets in Fort Myers and coming out of the bank building and stuff like that. And it's got the streets littered with zombies. I'm one of those, and a couple different shots.
Now you were offered to be in was it Land of the Dead?
I had the opportunity, to do more Dead films, but didn't. Scheduling just didn't work out. That's been a lot that I've wanted to be involved with. There's been several I wanted to be involved with, and the schedule just didn't work out. I had other things going. How
do you decide what project to pick up and what not to? Because as an actor, you must get multiple ones.
Yeah, it's, I wish that I could say, I was at the level where I could really just kind of pick and choose projects. But with my work, it's been, if you want a paycheck, you're going to work. And you just take stuff. And some of it's good, some of it's bad. I've done my share of bad stuff, at least when they were reviewed. If they trashed the movie, they usually said good things about me, at least. But yeah, I don't, I wasn't real picky. I just kind of like, if the work came, I would take it. There's a couple that I'm happy there was a conflict with, because I was working on another film at the time, because those stunt people for the stunt I was going to be hired for got killed in a couple of the films, so that could have been me. But yeah, I pretty much just took whatever came my way.
But please continue. Actually, I think I got to ask you a question. Yeah. You worked with Stephen King in Boogeyman, right?
Yeah, I was a Stephen King. Not really worked with him, but
did you meet him?
Was involved, and I met him briefly. Yeah, but was involved in a version of the Boogeyman. They've made a couple, which was one of his short stories that they've turned into a couple of films. And yeah, I was in one of the first ones made off of that story.
Now you worked with, was it Underground Entertainment? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that was a show that I created for Warner Brothers and the Warner Brothers affiliate networks. It was a television series that focused on geek and fandom culture, and this was 30-some years ago when there was nothing like it on television. This was before the G4 channel, and before anybody knew anything about anime, and you had to bootleg in copies of anime and stuff because nobody knew what it was. And I did a show about that. It was a weekly series, and we had tons of guests on it. We always had, we've had Norman Fell and Tony O'Dell and lots of comic book artists, and it was it played all over the United States, and it after I think about 3 years of doing it, we were all so tired it was time to take a break, and never did bring it back.
Talking about comic book, I heard you were immortalized as a comic book character opposite of Thor. Is that true?
I was. You've done some research.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was in. So there was a comic book series called What If, and it was or What The. It was called What The, and it was kind of like the What If series, where they, you know, what if Bucky became Captain America instead of Steve Rogers, you know, and it was that kind of thing, except more sort of Mad Magazine-ish style, more on that type of style that Marvel put out. And
so it wasn't considered canon?
No, I hope not, because there was some goofy stuff in it. But there was one issue where Thor was coming down to fight some bad guys, and I knew the writer and artist, and so he drew me and a couple of the other Underground Entertainment guys in one of the panels with our Underground Entertainment jackets on and our cameras and stuff, filming the battle with Thor.
Talk a little bit about your photography work.
It is more of kind of just fun. I've been lucky enough to have had a lot of it published and won several awards for different pictures that I've taken. But I do it just because I like pictures. There's something about pictures and capturing things, and I try to capture what I see. I don't like a lot of post editing and filtering and all that kind of stuff. I don't do that to the photos. So I like to try it. To me, it's a challenge to try and catch in the little box what I see with my eyes, and I've just been lucky to get some really good shots.
I know you've been offered some books, right, for something to do with Tennessee hauntings or something, or
yeah, I did.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I wrote several books. I did Tennessee Ghosts, which was a big seller. It's still out there in the bookstores. I did Hollywood Paranormal Films, which is a comparison of 10 movies that Hollywood made out of real life hauntings, and I compare what happened in the real case with what they portrayed in the movie. I did a book called Traveling in Tennessee, which is a big hardcover coffee table book, which is about different places in Tennessee and a lot of photographs that I took. I also wrote a novel called Mortuary of Madness, which is a campy kind of old EC comic style horror tale about this crazy mortuary. Just because, you know, it wasn't something that I wanted to do, but I've always been challenged by people. It's like, well, you can't do that. You can't write a book and get it published. Okay, watch me. Oh, you can't do a movie. Watch me. So that's how that came about. And I did, I don't know, 5 or 6 books, and it's another thing that just kind of went, okay, did it, done.
Now, I know you did some paranormal investigating. You worked with some celebrities and for some of that, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? So I know one of the places I know you talked about in the past was it Old South Pittsburgh Hospital?
Yeah. Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is one of the most haunted places I think I've ever been. It's amazing, or it was amazing.
Is it still there, or have they knocked it down?
It's still there. I've heard that the activity has died down a lot now, that they've let a lot of people in there to investigate, but I was a second group in there to investigate when they opened it up. And it was wild, and I made several trips there. And we first did it with the Hollywood Ghost Hunters, which is a ghost team made up of horror stunt guys, like Kane Hodder, who was Jason, and Chris Carnell, who was the miner in My Bloody Valentine, some people from Hatchet, things like that. So we went there as Hollywood Ghost Hunters, and then I created my own group called Celebrity Ghost Hunters, which was more horror guys. It was Dick Warlock, who was Michael Myers in Halloween, and Ogre from Skinny Puppy and Repo, and people like that. And it's just horror people that like to go in spooky places and see what they can find.
What was the most convincing ghost encounter that you had that you can 100% say that was a ghost? No way to say otherwise.
I've had several, and probably the most have been at South Pittsburgh Hospital. And I will say I'm a believing skeptic. I will do everything I possibly can to prove something did not happen before accepting it, and then if there's everything is ruled out, I'll have to go, okay, that was something. But I've had everything from like full body apparitions, encountered. I've been pushed down. I've had things thrown at me. I've had a doppelganger of me appear, which was, mimicking me. I've had him call me out where you can hear the voices.
Is that with or without the machine?
Yeah, without the machine. There's been a bunch. There's been a bunch like that.
So I think it's safe to say you do believe in ghosts.
I do. I believe. I don't know what they are. I won't say they're ghosts. I don't really call. Well, I use the term ghost because that's simple. People understand that. But I don't know that they're ghosts in the traditional sense. They could be spirits. There's some type of entity. It could be maybe there's another plane that they're peeking through. I don't know. May never know. So I don't know what it is, but I think I believe there is something other than us.
So do you believe God exists, the devil, and all that?
Yeah, I think there's too much that goes on to rule that out completely. That I would never say that no, they don't exist. There's just too many things I've witnessed.
What about aliens?
Again, that's another thing. I can't tell you they exist or not, but I have a problem believing in as vast as space is that we're the only people on the only planet.
What about things like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil? You think any of that might possibly be real?
Now that those crypto creatures, to me, I've always been, if they existed, we would have found them, or we would have found their remains, or we would, something. If Bigfoot was out there and spotted as many times as people have said they've spotted him or found something of his or whatever, surely we would have found bones by now.
Did you ever believe in Santa Claus when you were a kid?
I did, but not for long. Because like I said, I've always been, a believing skeptic. I'll believe it if I can't rule it out. The Santa Claus is easy to rule out.
Now, please talk about your work on Star Trek 4. That's, I think, an interesting story.
So, okay, like I said, I did stunts for many years, and that was just another stunt job. They hired me to do a simple little trip or stumble gag, doubling as Kirk, and a lot of times they hire. You hear like stunt work. You think, crashing cars and falling off buildings and stuff. Sometimes it's just as simple as tripping over something or just falling down or whatever. But they wanted me to stumble, and they didn't want Shatner to stumble and maybe accidentally fall, because then that gets expensive. So they hire people to do that, and so they hired me to do a little stumble in Star Trek 4 in the streets of San Francisco, and I did it. But it never ended up in the film because Shatner, being Shatner, said Kirk would never stumble, so he had him cut it out.
But you think that might be still on tape somewhere?
It may be somewhere. I don't know. It was funny, and people were wondering, well, did it even happen? Because nobody's even seen it or anything like that. And I saw an interview with Shatner years ago, and he mentioned something about the stunt and the scene, and that he didn't want to use it.
Now, when you have parts that's cut, you can't claim that on IMDb, correct? Or can you?
Oh, you can, yeah, because you're on the books, doing the work and being paid for it. I did 2 episodes of Nashville, the TV series Nashville for ABC, and I still get residual checks from it. It's on IMDb. I get paid every month from I have for years for just those 2 episodes, and they cut me out of, and I was a primary role, and they cut me out of everything except for one shot of the back of my head, but I still get paid for it and credit for it.
Now, as a stunt guy, how do you get insurance? You got to get special insurance because you risk getting hurt.
Yeah, you risk getting hurt. The film company has a certain amount of insurance. that they insure things for. So you're sort of covered with that. If you're in the union, you're covered with that also. But depending on what you're going to do and stuff, a lot of insurance companies won't want to insure you. I think I remember Tom Cruise saying something about, because him doing his own stunts, that he can't find any companies that will insure him. So you take the risk.
Yeah, but I think he has probably enough money to cover himself.
He does.
Have you ever met Tom Cruise?
I have not. No, I haven't.
What would you say the most famous actor you've met?
There's been several. One of my favorites was Martin Sheen.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about him. So I have this written down that you worked with him, right?
I did. I did the movie The Break with Martin Sheen. It's a tennis movie.
Now, did you refer to him as Martin or as his real name?
I refer to him as Marty. But
because I know Martin Sheen's a stage name.
Yeah.
I know his real name. His last name is Estevez.
Yeah. And I can't remember what his real first name is.
It's either like Raul or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Raul Ramirez, something like it's something like that. But yeah, I always call him Marty, and most people just call him Marty. But he was a pretty big name. I mean, Academy Award nominee, maybe a winner. I don't know, but I know he was nominated.
Of course, I know you worked with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds, Henry Winkler.
Which I will admit, I did meet briefly. Of course, you had more encounters with him than I did. And then Robert Englund, can you talk about your interaction with him?
Yeah, so Robert Englund, I first met on the set of The Vampire Wars, which is a movie that got shut down. It didn't even get released, but it was for Universal. Had Robert Englund, Chris Sarandon, Amanda Plummer, Maximilian Schell, killer cast. And I was doing stunts in some of the scenes with Robert. Robert plays, it had flashbacks to the Holy Wars, where Robert was commanding this big vampire army. And so I was in his army. So I met him there. And we went on to do a couple other things together. We've done several convention appearances together.
How is he as a person?
Oh, I love him. He's fantastic.
And he's pretty friendly to everyone?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. And he did, so we talked about Underground Entertainment, the series. 20-some years after the show was off the air, we made a documentary or a mockumentary about making that show. And Robert Englund was a big part of that. And playing into that as well, so he showed his comedy side in that movie. But yeah, Robert's fantastic. There's not too many people that I've run into that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, anyone, I don't know if you want to really care to share the names, but anyone you would say is a complete jerk?
I did not get along well. Probably the worst one, and you're a Star Trek guy, was Jonathan Frakes. Do not like Jonathan Frakes, and he does not like me.
What's the story behind that?
So this goes back to Underground Entertainment days, and Jonathan Frakes was going to come on the show and do an interview. And this is when
he's the one that does Will Riker, right?
Yeah, #1 on Next Generation, and this is when Next Generation was the #1 show on television. So his head was. And he was married to Jeannie Francis at the time, and I love Jeannie Francis from General Hospital, Luke and Laura. So he was there with Jeannie Francis, and Jeannie Francis, how you doing? You know, and he would not allow her to speak to us. He made her sit in the back of the room, so that the focus was on him, which was the first thing that threw me off. So we started doing the interview, and he was very, I don't know, I wouldn't say really evasive, but sort of not really genuinely answering questions and that kind of thing, and being kind of pompous about stuff. So I always try to find information about somebody's early work, something people may not know about. And at one point I got very irritated in the interview, and I said, hey, that you ran around New York City in tights, dressed like Spider-Man, handing out Marvel comics to people in the streets. And he went, ooh, you know about that? Like, yeah, I know about that. So remember where you came from. It was years later he got me back.
So you say he was probably, I think the word might be used as pretty arrogant at the time.
He was, yeah, he was. And years later, he got me back because I was called to audition for the part of Dracula in the Librarian series in one of the Librarian movies with Noah Wyle. And so I went to do the audition, and Jonathan Frakes was directing.
So let me guess, you didn't get the part.
I did not. So I called my agent, and I went, yeah, I'm not getting that role.
So you think he remembered you and everything?
Yeah.
Was he the only one from Next Generation that you interacted with?
No.
Did
several.
Did you ever meet Patrick Stewart?
Briefly, very briefly.
Now, he would be one of the coolest dudes, I think, in my opinion, to meet.
Yeah, very briefly. He was cool. I spent a lot of time with Will Wheaton. I love Will Wheaton. He's hilarious. He was on Underground Entertainment also. He came up with our slogan for Underground Entertainment that actually got us in trouble with the FCC. Back then, you couldn't say "suck" on the air. You know, like something sucks. It was offensive. So I told Will, I said, dude, say something for like a bumper to introduce the show. You know, like, hey, watch Underground Entertainment, because whatever. Just make something up. So we turn the camera on and he goes, hey, watch Underground Entertainment because it doesn't suck.
About what year are we talking about?
Oh, this was 90s probably. 90s something.
Do you think Howard Stern was really responsible for people being able to say more words on air?
Yeah, they were very picky back then and did not want us to say that. So we always tried to figure out a way to work suck into the show somewhere, just to irritate them. And Jimmy Doohan, talking about Star Trek again. So Jimmy Doohan came on the show, and we asked Jimmy, it's like, can you say Underground Entertainment doesn't suck without saying sucked? And so he goes, yeah, I got it. So we turn on the camera, and he goes, hey, it's Jimmy Doohan. Watch Underground Entertainment because it doesn't inhale vigorously. Yes. And of course, we got in trouble for that too. But yeah, the Will Wheaton is the one I've spent most of the time with. Michael Dorn also, Worf.
And how is he as a person?
I like him. Yeah, I like him a lot. But those are the main ones. Gates McFadden a little bit.
What about Brent Spiner?
Brent Spiner just briefly, very briefly, and it was through doing conventions.
LeVar Burton?
Not LeVar Burton. I haven't met him. He seems cool.
Now, I know you worked with John Billingsley, right? I know he was in Voyager.
Yeah.
He played Neelix in Voyager. Tell us a little bit about him and your interaction with him.
He's fantastic. We did a voice drama, like old-time radio type thing. And his wife, Benita Federici, was in it also from the TV show Chuck. And that guy is so much fun. He is so much fun, so down to earth, so talented. I love both of them. I love both of them together.
Now, I know one person I heard that you've been a friend with for a long time. You worked with Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about your interactions with him and how is he as a person?
Yeah, so Tom, I love Tom. I've known Tom since 84, 85. And we've done 3 or 4 films together, I guess. I love Tom. Tom is one of the gentlest, kindest souls, and is one of the most misunderstood people. If you read about interactions with him or talk to people who have met him at conventions and stuff like that, they'll all say, "Oh, he's such a jerk. He's an ass." You know? But he's not. He's very uncomfortable on that side of the table when people want to come up and gush over what he's done and his work, and so he doesn't know how to handle it. And he wants to be there to greet the fans and meet the fans and stuff like that because he knows the fans want to meet him, but he's very uncomfortable in that situation. So sometimes he comes off as, but I love him. He's the gentlest, one of the gentlest souls.
Out of all the people you worked with, you witnessed behind the scenes, who do you think is the biggest difference between their public persona and real life?
Oh gosh. Well, of course, any of the horror people, you know, because they've got, you know, people think that all these people, Robert Englund and Gunnar Hansen and Doug Bradley and, you know, all these people are just these big monsters as their, you know, public persona that they do. But they're usually always just big teddy bears. I haven't really seen anybody be overly phony to where there's so much of a difference of somebody that I've actually met or worked with or whatever, other than Linda Lavin. Linda Lavin was a little over the top, but other than being completely different than a lot of the characters that people are used to them playing, not a huge shift in personality from what you would see at a convention to what you would see, you know, in the privacy of a house.
You mentioned Doug Bradley. Do you know him?
Mm-hmm.
How is he as a person?
I like Doug. Doug is hilarious. He, you know, and for you people that don't know Doug Bradley, he played Pinhead in Hellraiser. He is so funny. A couple funny stories. He got we did several conventions together, and because we look similar, I guess, and we're both bald-headed and stuff. Somebody asked him at a convention one time. They went up to his table and they said, "Are you Jim O'Rear's dad?" And he was like, "What?" So we have this thing back and forth, and every time I see him, I go, "Hey, Dad," and he'll go, "Oh, go fuck yourself." But he's fun, and the funniest thing, he told me this one time. I don't know if it's still up or not, but he had a mullet website, and it was like a celebration of mullets. You know, the old hairstyle with it long in the back and short on top. And you know, when that was a big fad, he would go around, and he and his friend had a challenge as to the most difficult photo they could get of a mullet, and they would like go up to people like using the bathroom or whatever, you know, in the men's room and stuff, and walk up and go take a picture with the mullet on the back of the guy's head, and then run. And they would post them on this mullet website, and that's the kind of sense of humor he's got. He's wacky. He is so hilarious. I love Doug.
Do you think he'll ever do another Pinhead movie? Because I know they tried replacing him with other actors, and it's not him. I don't think it's nearly as good as him.
No, Doug is. There's not anybody that sounds like him or looks like him. And I don't know. You know, maybe. I don't know if he wants to do it or not. It may be like, you know, Robert Englund. There's kind of like, I'm too old for the makeup now.
Yeah, as I know, they made a movie with another actor for Freddy, and just wasn't the same. I mean, it's easier to replace, say, someone who does Jason. Mm-hmm. There's less personality there than someone like Freddy or Pinhead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I would love to see him back as Pinhead, but I think it would make a lot of money for the franchise if he would come back. But I don't know if he even wants to do it.
What about Ernie Hudson? I know you had some interactions with him.
Yeah, Ernie's fun. Another real sweet guy. He did the Underground Entertainment movie also, the mockumentary, and played along with it. And you can find that movie. It's hilarious. I tried to get it in the Guinness Book of World Records as the movie with the most celebrities in it ever, but they wouldn't even listen to me. But he's hilarious in that. But Ernie Hudson he's fantastic. I think he's a hugely underrated actor. He's brilliant, and he is the nicest guy.
Is he the only Ghostbuster actor you met?
Yes. Other than, you know, some side characters, not of the main Ghostbusters.
Now, I heard at one time you were the Midwest case manager for the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. Are you still have that role?
No, not anymore. Hollywood Ghost Hunters has kind of gone to sleep or disbanded. Not really that active anymore. And when I left that, I started Celebrity Ghost Hunters, and we're not even doing Celebrity Ghost Hunters anymore.
Now, I know you appeared in a fictional horror novel called Bad Moon Rising. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So there's a series. It's called the Ghost Road Blues trilogy, and it's a very popular series of books by Jonathan Mayberry, who's a Bram Stoker Award winner, and he's done a ton of books. even he was the author of that. Can't even remember the name of it. So it was some Netflix series recently that had one of the Vampire Diary guys in it. But he is the writer of this series, and it's about this town called Pines Deep, and it's this weird little mysterious town that weird things happen and have going on. And one of the books, the third book in the series, takes place around their Halloween celebration and the haunted house that they have set up there. And the haunted house has invited some celebrities to make celebrity appearances at the haunted house in the book. And I'm one of them. It's me and Tom Savini and Debbie Rochon and a couple other people. And so we are characters in this book, and it's hard to explain to people. It's like it's me, but it's not me. I'm in this fake world with these other fake characters, but it's me. Mm-hmm. And I'm fighting vampires and everything with the other characters. Me and Tom Savini kicking people's butts and stuff like that. But it's a really fun series. And then there was another one I did by another writer, the something of Enoch. I can't remember the name of it. It's a zombie novel, and I'm myself in that as well with Peter Mayhew, who was Chewbacca in Star Wars. We're two people in that book, two real people that are in that fake world.
Did you interact with him in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how was he as a person?
Oh, so sweet. So sweet, yeah. Most of these people, I mean, especially the ones that play monsters and, are under the makeup, some of that, they're just these huge teddy bears.
Now, you do YouTube videos now. Just tell us how you got into that, and what do you think about the whole YouTube process? So,
YouTube, I really kind of misunderstood YouTube years ago and just thought, oh, it's just, a thing that you put some videos online. People can watch it, no biggie, whatever. So when I would make convention appearances, I would just film a few little things of what's going on at the convention and put it up, and a lot of the convention owners and stuff really liked that. They thought it was fun. So I started doing that a little bit more, and then when I would go on some of the movie sets, I would film some behind the scenes stuff on the set when I was there, and load those up, and people kind of got to looking forward to those. And so I just finally started looking a little bit more into what the whole YouTube thing was, and figured out it's just much bigger than I thought it was. And it's this whole creator world and all that. And so I just started making more videos. It's not anything that I really promote or push, other than I'll make a video and I'll post on my Facebook page or something that, hey, I got a new video up, go watch it if you want. But it's done pretty well. So it's got, I don't know, maybe close to 60,000 people or something on it now.
I know you also do film a lot of haunts. You do some restaurant reviews too.
Yeah, it's so it's called Jim O'Rear's Wacky World, and I'm one of the, they always tell you that as a creator you should find some niche that that's what this is the one thing you do, because people will always tune in that are interested in that to see what you're doing. And I have so many different varied interests and different things that I want. I said I'm just going to do a channel called Jim O'Rear's Wacky World, where I just do whatever I want, talk about whatever I want, do whatever I want, go do things that I like to do, haunted houses, eat at restaurants I like, theme parks, whatever, and just film it. And so that's what it is. It's just a mishmash of stuff, from everything from restaurant reviews to cooking, how-to cooking videos, to toy unboxings, to haunted houses, to behind the scenes at the movies, and it's just whatever I happen to feel like. I may wake up one morning and see something on the news and go, oh, now I got to say something about that. So,
of course, you and I are interacting, but I'm assuming you interact probably with a lot of other influencers. Mm-hmm. Have you generally found most of them to be decent to work with or to interact with, I should say?
For the most part, I don't. I'm not. You would think with as much stuff that I've done with the films and the theater and the TV and all that kind of stuff, that I would be more kind of out there, outgoing kind of personality, and I'm really not. I'm really actually kind of quiet. So I don't take the extra step to talk to any of the other creators, really. If they kind of come up to me and talk, I'll talk. But my personality is not to interact.
Do you get approached a lot?
I do, yeah, I do. And so there have been some that have approached me, and we've talked and stuff, and got to know a little better. And so there's kind of a core group of maybe about 10, 12 of us or something that we do a lot of stuff together, and collaborate. And I say collaborate, it's not really a collaborative thing, but we film together. We film stuff together, and we end up being in each other's videos and things like that. So I guess it's kind of a accidental collaboration. But I do have kind of a core group of creators that I hang out with most of the time at events and do stuff. Like here with Rebecca from Weird Wild Wonderful, and we just sort of film stuff together and see what.
Now, is it true you presented a Lifetime Achievement Award to George Romero?
I did, yes. I forgot about that. I forgot. Yeah, we I did it dressed as a vampire. We were doing an appearance at Wonderfest, I think, in Kentucky, and Boris Karloff's daughter was there. She was getting an award. We gave her an award also.
Yeah, is it Sarah
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we gave her an award, and George Romero an award, and Tom Savini. They all three got awards at that show, and I got to be the one to give George his. So.
That's pretty cool. And how was he as a person?
Oh, big teddy bear, another big teddy bear. I love him. He and he loved the fans and stuff too, which I love, because it was funny. If you would be at a convention with him, he would be there half hour before the doors open, sitting at his table, and he would stay there until people were gone. I mean, it was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. He was at his table. They would bring him food, whatever. He might get up to use the bathroom. He would stay there and sign and talk and take pictures. And then when he would leave there to go somewhere, and people would see him in the halls or something of the hotel or whatever and stop him, he'd sit down in the hall and talk and stuff. I mean, he just generally loved people.
One thing I know you talked about in the past was mechanical haunting. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience with that?
So mechanical hauntings are, to me, not real hauntings. They're kind of like a videotape playing back. So basically kind of what it is when people see, you hear lots of stories about people saying, oh, every morning at 2 a.m., you can hear this woman screaming and see her running down the hallway. Or, we see a guy with a knife or something every morning. And that's a mechanical haunting. It happens at the same time. It's the same thing that happens every time. And it's several different people at different times see that same thing. And that's all it is just because it's a recording playing in the air. There were some scientific studies done about all of the electromagnetic particles that surround us in the air. And when a traumatic event happens that stirs up enough energy to charge those particles, it is possible to record like a videotape on magnetic tape, just the same way video records on magnetic tape in VHS days, to record that in those particles. So when a certain temperature gets back to where it was, or a certain thing happens to trigger that again, it replays like a tape. So that's
like a train whistle, an elevator sound.
Right. Yep. Same thing that happens, again and again. It's just something that is magnetic recording in the air.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, your martial artist, you have some black belts, right? If I understand, your martial arts is what kind of led to stunt work. Is that true?
Kinda, yeah. I've been involved in martial arts for a long time, and I was working on a film, and they were doing a fight scene and they needed another person in the fight scene. And the director went, well, Jim can fight. And so they said, hey, you want to be in this fight scene? Like, yeah, I want to be in the fight scene. So in that way, it led into stunt work accidentally. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and have a particular skill that they needed at the time.
Now, you generally get paid for all these parts, correct?
I did what? Got paid?
You generally get paid for all these parts, correct? Because I know some actors I've talked to who did smaller parts said a lot of times they don't even pay you. They feed you and then that's it. Was there ever a difficulty with actually getting compensated for your work?
I did a few early on, yeah. I mean, you always have to get your feet wet and do, do some volunteer work or it's a good learning experience. Go on as an extra. Not all extras get paid, or they may get paid, a couple bucks and some food or whatever. On Day of the Dead, we got paid $1, but they fed us. So there's some stuff like that, and you do those things early on to kind of learn. I mean, you can go to school for film all you want, but there's no way to learn it.
But hands-on experience is the best.
You got to be on the set to see how it actually works. So you may not be getting paid for those spots, but you're getting paid, if you know what I mean, and knowledge as to how a film set works, which is going to come in handy to get you those other paid roles later.
Now, if someone met you and never heard of your work, never heard of you, how would you introduce them to your career, to what you've done professionally? What would you want them to check out first? Oh,
gosh. I'm so bad at that because everything means something different to me. I guess it would depend on your personal taste. I would have to find out kind of what you like. Do you like gore? Do you like suspense? Do you like comedy? Do you like do you like to read? Do you like whatever? To send you in what direction? Do you want to read my books? Do you want to see this TV show or this film? I love. There's so many different ones that I love. I love.
I was going to ask, what are you the most proud of?
Yeah, there's several. And the answer to that is you're always the most proud of the most recent one you're working on, or the one you worked on, because it's the freshest in your head. But I really liked. There's been a few. I like Don't Look in the Basement Part 2. I think is a fantastic film. All the performances are great in it. It's a direct tie-in to the original cult classic Don't Look in the Basement, that was one of the original video nasties that got banned and stuff like that. That was very cool. I like some of the TV stuff. There's been a couple stupid.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is the thing that you say, oh, I can't believe, I wish I didn't do that part?
Oh, I don't know. I can't say that there's any really that I wish I didn't do.
Well, what do you think would be the most silliest? I'm not sure if I talked to you on camera or off, but I didn't mention Thong Girl 3 and all that.
Thong Girl is silly. It's super silly. It's not one of those that I would say I hate. I did it. I had a lot of fun, but especially Thong Girl versus Ulta, playing the alien bad guy in that. That was so much fun. But it is one of the silliest. I don't know. I think there's been some really, really early stuff that was just so bad. There was a movie called Mountain Mafia that was really bad. I could have done without doing that. There was one called Death Woods. I could have done without doing that. There were earlier B films like that. There was one I did with Robert Zadar, who was the Maniac Cop, which was really bad. But again, I've been pretty lucky in some of that stuff to where if the movie got panned and they did happen to mention me, they usually had something decent.
So you would say none of it hurt your career?
No, I don't think so. I can't think of anything that I've done film-wise that has hurt me. There have been some things that I've done as far as I'm kind of outspoken on certain things, and especially like on set, and anything that has to do with safety on set, or things that I have not agreed with or wanted to do, that will sometimes get you a bad rep.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you next. You heard about what happened with Alec Baldwin on the set of Rust.
God, yeah.
What's your opinion about all that?
So I made a half-hour YouTube video about that.
You ever met Baldwin?
I have not met Baldwin. I do not want to meet Baldwin.
Because I've heard some things about him that he's not exactly the friendliest dude.
I am, because of the stunt work and everything like that, I am of the belief, and I've always been of the belief, that there is no reason anyone should ever get hurt making a movie, or killed making a movie. You're going to get hurt a little bit doing some stunts, but there's no reason anybody should be seriously injured or killed. There are too many things in place, if you follow the rules, to keep that from happening. With Brandon Lee on The Crow, should have never happened. That was a series of missteps. And the thing with Baldwin, he went off talking about how many years or how many movies he's done where he's handled a firearm and shot a gun, and all this training he's had to do all these movies where he's played characters with a gun. And then he's talking about, when they ask him, well, what, how did the gun go off? He says, I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't pull the trigger. Well, it's not the trigger that makes the gun go off. It's the hammer. So, and he said, yeah, so I did this, and I pulled the hammer back, and I let it go. That's what makes a gun go off.
The same thing as pulling the trigger, right?
Exactly. It's not the trigger. The trigger just releases the hammer. And, so in Westerns, because that was a Western, they fan the gun, pop, 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 to do rapid fire. In Westerns, and that's what they're doing. They're using that hammer to fire, and that's what he did. And for him to point the gun directly at somebody and do that, and not have even looked at the gun to make sure that there was anything in it, so that there is no excuse for that at all. And if he had been trained with all these years of training, supposedly, that he had, he would have never put that gun in his hand in the first place. It's just, I have no patience for ignorance when it comes to weapons and safety and things like that.
Do you think he should have went to jail?
I think so, yeah. I think he should have went to jail. I think Jeff Amata should have gone to jail on The Crow. It makes me so mad when I think about that stuff, because it didn't have to happen. It did not have to happen.
I only have a few more questions. I want to talk about Lethal Weapon 3. You worked in that movie, right?
I did, yeah, I did stunt.
You interacted with Mel Gibson?
Briefly, yeah.
How was he?
He was great. I had a...
Now, you did stunts. Did you do stunts for him, or was it another character?
Yeah, it was another character, but it was in the scene. So in the beginning of the movie where they're in the building, and it's got bombs all in the building, and they run out of the building as the building explodes behind them and crumbles behind them, and all the cops that are surrounding the building start running away from the building as well. I'm one of the people running away from the building as it crumbles down behind us.
Did you interact with, was it Danny Glover?
No. I saw Mel Gibson, but not Danny Glover.
Finally, I just want to say a couple lists of words, and I want to tell you what they mean to you as a person.
Okay.
Honor.
First thing that pops to mind is the martial arts code. Honor is... That's a big thing, and I don't know if that was instilled in me because of martial arts and things like that. And you know what? I couldn't even tell you how deep that's ingrained in me, because I was always schooled in like the traditional Asian, you know, honor your ancestors, honor your parents, honor your, you know, everything, honor your friends. So yeah, that's a biggie.
Duty?
Duty? That always makes me laugh because, you know, I go to my second grade. Duty. Yeah, duty. What duty means to me? That's what you want to know.
Yeah.
To me, for me, it's like a work ethic word. That and a commitment type word. It's one of those things where you you know, you've got a certain thing that you're supposed to do and you commit to it and you go through with it and you do it, and that is your duty to do.
Now I'm assuming, would your same answer be for loyalty as well?
Yeah.
What about friendship?
Friendship is weird. I value friendship, but I think it's also probably the most fragile and easiest thing to just kind of go away for some reason, especially in today's society. It's not like when we were kids. I mean, when we were kids, you know, that the movie Stand By Me, I love Stand By Me. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Those kids back then, which is like when I grew up, that was true loyal friendship kind of thing, and I don't think that exists anymore today.
Did you ever talk to Will Wheaton about that movie?
I did not. We talked more about Star Trek because that was the hot thing then.
What about family?
So family to me is not traditional. I'm one of those guys, I really don't have any contact with any of my real family.
So not with your parents, or is your parents still alive?
No, my mom is dead. My dad doesn't want to have anything to do with me. Of course, my grandparents are dead. Most of my uncles and aunts are dead. I have some cousins.
No children?
I do. Now, my core family, I have a son. That family, I'm close to my core family. My son and his mother. But the rest of my family are chosen family. Not blood, but people that I've taken on as brothers and sisters and stuff as part of my chosen family. So that's family to me is more of a not who you have blood with, but who you choose. And I have surrounded myself with chosen family and a couple of core members like my son. But that's it. Yeah, it's not the traditional family.
What about the word good or bad?
These are just generic words to me. I don't think there is good or bad. I look at everything. I think everything is gray. There's a gray area everywhere. Now, you know, is there the extreme bad? You know, can we say that Jeffrey Dahmer was bad? Yeah, we could. I mean, we could say that. We could say Ed Gein was bad. Yeah, but there's a whole gray area in there.
And what about the God and devil?
So yeah, we talked about that a little bit. So a lot of people don't know I'm an ordained minister, so I know a lot about the Bible.
So you could marry people if they want?
Yeah, I've married people. I have. I used to be a royal ambassador. I taught children's church. I toured with a lot of church choir groups around the United States. So I have. My uncle was a preacher, so I have a deep faith background. So that is important to me, and how I feel about it, though, or go about those two entities, and what I think about those two to entities is different, though. I mean, I'm not a church-going guy. I don't go to church. I have my own personal belief systems and codes and things that I live by based on those things. And is God and the devil real? Maybe. Like we said earlier, I think that it is kind of foolish to not believe that there's something else out there. But I have had too much fortune and things like that to say that it wasn't influenced by something else.
Okay, so I'm assuming your answer would probably be the same for heaven and hell.
Yeah.
And then finally, what about difficult?
That's me. No, I'm not really that difficult. So to me, I guess difficult means the same as kind of stubbornness. When I hear difficult, I think stubborn. I'm a stubborn person. I will ruin myself to prove a point sometimes. Which kind of goes back to that whole loyalty, duty kind of thing, because I feel very strongly about those things. I don't look at difficult as a word where something is difficult to do. Because like I mentioned earlier, I've always been one of those people when people say, "Oh, you can't write a book, you can't get a book published, you can't get in a movie, you can't." It's, you know, those are things that people find difficult. I don't think that exists. I think if you want to do something, do it, or you'll figure out how to do it if you want to do it or not. So that's why difficult to me is more of a personality trait than a thing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to let you go. I still have 10 more questions, but I think we've been talking. I kept you long enough. I hope you're willing to do this again.
Sure.
Because I enjoyed it. I mean, you're one of the coolest dudes around, I think.
Well, thank you.
And like I said, I've known about you, been a fan of yours since at least 1999. And just to be able to meet you and talk to you, it's a real honor, and I appreciate this, taking this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, check out his channel. I'll make sure I put him below. All right, thank you again.